Hi guys, I am back with another video tonight that will hopefully make your life as a VIP Kid teacher easier or put you at ease if you're thinking about becoming a VIP Kid teacher. I've been teaching for 8 months and with VIP Kid, started last December, and I love it, but I have learned some things that hopefully will help you out. I teach levels 2 through 7. And what I'm going to tell you relates to all those major course levels. Like there's levels 1 through 7, but I'm scared to death of level 1, so I'm not getting that. But I do teach levels 2 through 7. And these 12-ish steps or slides are going to be found in any of those levels. They're just going to be scaled according to their ability. Okay, makes sense? Anyway, let me tell you what I'm talking about here. Basically, I don't do any prep work anymore besides pulling up a reward. I try and get a reward prepared ahead of time, and I use Google Slides mostly because it's free and it's awesome, and I will try and match it to what I'm teaching. So I do that, but that's about it. Everything else is, as I'm going to say tonight, teach, rinse, and repeat. It's the same thing. I teach 5 classes every morning. I teach from 6:30 to 9 Central Time every morning because I can't get up before 6:30, and 9's the latest you could do. I would totally do 9 to noon or something if I could, but 9's right now the latest I can do. I'm getting some glare here, sorry. So I teach my one class at 6:30. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Do it again at 7. Do it again at 7:30. It's these same things. Anytime I have a major course, it's going to be these same steps. Here we go. To start with, you will get, I'm not fancy on this. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't cut and paste a video, but I can do Cam Twist. So if you have Cam Twist, it's an awesome way to do this. I use this in my class. Is how I can do this. So when I see my list, my classes that are coming up the next day, I look down here at the bottom and find what level it is. See how this says level 3, unit 3. Okay, by looking at that, I know that this is a pretty young kid, a pretty low-level kid. The level 2s I expect to just basically repeat and parrot. By the end of level 2s, I mean, you'll get some advanced kids, but they can more where you ask a question and they'll answer it. I know by this being a level 3, this is my first one tomorrow is why it's pulled up. By being a level 3, unit 3 is going to be a pretty low-level kid, and I can't expect good conversation out of them. So when I start the class, now that I've looked at that number, if this is level 7, I expect to be able to ask deeper questions. I expect to ask them, how do you feel when something, 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 instead of, do you play basketball? Like for the littles. So you look at that number and base your next questions on that. So when you start the class, countdown comes, you get to 0. That slide that I showed you is going to come up that'll tell what your lesson is. This lesson that I'm teaching is called My Body Parts. We're going to learn head, hand, can't remember what in this one because I haven't looked ahead, but I've taught it before. Anyway, so you'll see what it is there. So why this slide is up and I'm talking to the kid, I'll come in and say, hello, how are you? 99% of my kids are going to say, I am happy. That's their generic answer, and the other 2% will probably say, I am fine. They either say, I am happy or I am fine. Occasionally you'll get a kid who answers differently, but most of my kids say, I am happy. So then I'm like, good, I'm happy to see you. So we talk for a minute on there, and then based on their level, I will ask them more questions. What did you do this summer? Who did you do it with? Did you start school yet? Right now, they're all starting to go back to school, so I'm asking them all, did you have school today? Will you have school Monday? Most of them start this weekend if they haven't already started. Anyway, not relevant. The point is you ask them a question. I usually spend about 1.5 minutes on this slide, which is longer than normal. You're going to want to try and spend a minute on every slide. If you'll look down here at the bottom, you can see this one has 26 slides. Right here it says. There are 26 slides in this lesson. Okay, knowing I have 26 slides and I have 25 to 28 at the most minutes, I try and in between 25 and 26, I need to spend a minute a slide. But I spend 1.5 minutes on this one because I want to build that rapport, build that relationship. I think that's how I have most of my kids are repeats. I looked earlier, out of my next 20, all but 2 are repeat people. So most of my people are the same people week after week. So building that relationship right there, I think, is what's helping keeping them coming back. Because there's thousands of wonderful teachers, but just making that connection with them. Okay, so you start on that. Your next slide is either nothing for the older kids, or it'll just say like the objectives. I just skip that. I don't even stop on that. I'll be like, I just skip right over that one. Because that, I feel like, is more for me, or if the parents want to go back later and look at it. So that's where I make up my time I spend on the first one. The next one is a reward. I don't really spend time on that slide, except in the little ones. I have them practice dragging and dropping on that slide, but I don't do the reward on there. I do my own reward. That's another video. I use all Google Slides, almost 100% Google Slides. Or I started keeping a little wad of cash here. The kids love it when I start pulling out money and give them money. They think it's funny. One of my kids yesterday gave me money for a reward. It's like, oh, this is awesome. So I got some money from China for my reward. Anyway, so that's over and done. We're up to about 3 minutes at the most. We're starting our lesson. There'll be a warm-up slide every time. I can't show you all the slides because they are copyrighted, but just trust me. Everyone, every level is going to have a warm-up slide. In your lower levels, you're going to try and get them to repeat you in it. They're silly little tunes, silly little songs, but they do it the whole unit, so they kind of start to learn it at the end. So I kind of underline as I go, and they'll repeat. The older ones, sometimes they're activity or thought questions. You'll have a warm-up slide. Spend a minute there. If you are consistently spending a minute a slide, give or take, then you will end up on time. You won't not finish your work. You won't not double negative. You won't get to the end and not have your work completed. Did I spread out the double negative? Does that make it all right? I don't know. And you also won't end like super early and be like, I have 5 minutes at the end of class. It's very hard to fill. Filling 5 minutes in 20-second chunks across your whole class, much easier to fill than filling it at the end. These parents are paying a lot of money for these classes, so I try and make all my filler relevant and educational. I want them getting their money's worth, and I want them feeling like that I didn't waste their time or their parents' time. Their time is just as valuable as their money over there. These kids have 1,000 things to do. Fitting in this 25 minutes, it needs to be worth it to them, so they'll keep doing it. Okay, I made a list so I wouldn't get off track. So after that, you're going to do your warm-up slide. You're going to have vocabulary. Whether this one is you're teaching head, or, I had one today I was teaching architecture, or if you're teaching like feelings, like loyalty and those kind of things. Whatever the vocabulary word is, you will have a vocabulary slide. It'll be in red. You have them repeat it, get them to repeat it twice. Even those older kids. Just repeating it correctly. I find a lot of my older kids, they say their short vowels wrong, or they'll have the syllable on the wrong part. So the repeating, even though that seems so young, it's good. That is important. Get them to repeat it accurately as a native speaker would say it. Because they can read it when they're older. It's just a matter of repeating it. And then I try and relate it to them. There'll be that word, and then there'll be a sentence. Like if it's head, this is a head. So it's hard to make that take a full minute. If you think about it, head, they're repeating, this is a head, this is a head. I've spent 10 seconds. I need to spend a minute or I'm going to be stuck at the end of my class. So then start saying, is this a head? No. Is, whatever. Is this a head? I always end up teaching elbow, teaching wrist, extra words to them that aren't in the curriculum. Just because you can, and you're trying to fill that time with valuable stuff. Okay, so fill your time. Whatever it is. I was teaching scales today, and I started now trying to make it kind of silly if they're being like overly serious. They'll be like, repeat, this is a head, and then I'll be like, this is a head. Like, no, or I'll be like, this is a head. No, just pull up whatever you have sitting around here. To just put, this is a head, just try and do it. And they're like, no, but it gets them engaged and them listening. And then you want to kind of relate it back to them, have them touch their head. This is a head, or whatever. Obviously, that doesn't relate to every single thing. Architecture is a little hard for that one. I was teaching architecture. 4 syllables in that one. And then we showed pictures of it and circled it. And I am sorry these are glaring. I moved to a room with a window and it's kind of messing everything up. I love it, but it's messing up my lighting. But it's all right. I'm out of the laundry room where I was. Okay, so after that, we've done our vocab. Get it to relate to them and make them repeat it at least twice. Then there will be sight words. With sight words also, my upper level kids especially, even like the 4s and 5s, they'll read off, went, came, right, into, saw, or whatever. And they're like 3 seconds and they're done with that slide. So for those that are done with it, either make them spell it, because usually they have to spell it the next page so they can spell it out loud and you can write it on your little whiteboard as they're spelling it. Or you can have them use it in a sentence. So most of the time, that's what I do. I'll circle one and say, use ride in a sentence. And I had one little squirt last week. I have him once a week. And he's like so serious, but he's super sharp. So he goes, I guess I have to use the word ride in a sentence. Or somehow like that, where you turned it right back to me. And I was like, well played, little man, well played. I'll let you do it that time because that was pretty impressive. And then the next time I made him actually use, I ride my bike or whatever it is. I ride my bike to school. Make them use them in a sentence, and that will help you fill your minute with sight words. Usually there's another one where they'll have to use them in sentences after, so it just works out well. You can say now, fit those words into their sentences. Kind of a both thing. But I like to make them think, and I like to make them use vocabulary that's not specifically listed there. In VIP kid terms, we say we extend, but we do have them use more. Let the parents feel like they're getting more out of this than they expected. They'll be like, oh, they learned whatever it is. Whatever the word is, make them learn it and then mention that in the feedback and tell parents, we also today learned whatever the word was. Okay, so then we've done that. Then we have phonics. Phonics, most of these kids are really good at phonics. And something you'll find, if I back up to sight words or the vocab, these kids are super, super smart. All the kids I've taught, super smart. They just don't know the English word for these things. Like they know what a bike is, they just don't know the English word. So once you are acting it out, using your TPR, or you're showing them something, they will put it together and know what it is. So it's not that they don't know what a bike is because they've never seen it. They don't know the English word for it. That's our job, to teach them the English for these things. Okay, so they do know usually pretty well their phonics, and it's because they take English in school. But just make sure that they're saying it correctly, because sometimes they'll blow through them and you don't know. Found these at Dollar Tree. A friend of mine is just signing up. Hello, Julie. And got these, and I'm like, that's brilliant. I love them. So I went back and got some. You can be like, and, man, and then you just turn it. I keep letters written on this, and then like each class I'll like add in some more. This works great for your phonics classes too. But these work great to help stretch that slide to be a minute long, but you're not wasting time. You're doing something valuable. Okay, the verb chart, verb conjugation chart. This is my best tip. These little, I think they're called shop tickets. I had it from a long time ago, but I found them at Dollar Spot at Target recently for $1. $1 at Dollar Spot, imagine that. But I just printed out a simple sheet of paper, I, you, we, they, he, she, it, and drew a giant red S. This is back behind it on the paper. So when we're having class, every class you're going to conjugate verbs. I mean, really, you just do. So we put they, whatever. I'm going to put keep. I don't know why. It just came to me. Keep. As they're reading it the first time, I'll circle it on the screen and they'll read it. I let them see that I'm writing something so they don't think I've dozed off, or because you don't just see the top of my head. So I let them see that I'm writing something, and then I'll write them on here. Keep. The S is always there. And then we go through it. I keep, you keep, we keep, they keep. And then the next slide, they'll have to use these. It'll be like, she keeps. So if they're like, they got it, this goes away, gets washed off, ready for next class. If not, because I keep my little magic eraser and I can wipe it off. If not, I just kind of can hold this up. And if they really need help, I can point at she or point at the S. You can kind of point at things why they do it without going no when they get it wrong. Just kind of show them so that they can find it and can correct themselves. So anyway, I use that every time, like every class I use that. And it's held up I'm on like 750 classes and it's held up. Yay. Okay, then you're going to have some math. And same as the other, they know this math. They can probably do trig in their head. I mean, I swear I have some 5-year-olds that are way smarter than me. But they don't know the English words for it. So as you're teaching plus, minus, equals with an S, they always leave the S off. While you're doing that, just think of ways that you can show them what you're doing because they know the concept. Just if you say, can you add? They don't know that word add, but once they see the plus or they see the things together, they put it together quickly and they can do it. I've usually have very good success with math. On the back of my shop ticket, I printed out a hundreds chart in case we need to skip count by tens and they're having trouble or anything. I can draw on this and circle. We do a lot of counting backwards and stuff. So I just keep that there just in case. There's usually one on the screen too, just as an extra prop. Some kids, I don't know, they like it. They look at it. And now that you can make your face be big, that really will draw their attention. So if you make you big while you're holding this, it's going to fill up their whole screen and they'll be able to see it. Anyway, so math. Grammar. Grammar's harder and I usually take a little longer, it seems like, on that. The first slide always seems to take forever, like I'm going over everything, you're just basically introducing it and I feel like I'm getting some blank stares. So as I'm doing it, I take notes on one of my boards here. And then as they go to the next page, the next slide to use what you've just taught them, you can, again, kind of a cheat sheet, hold that up for them. When they're learning S, if they put an S instead of an ES, you can be like, and underline the O, that it's go. So it's going to need an ES for goes because it ends in O. So you can kind of just like underline it on the screen and point here and they're like, oh, and they'll fix it without you having to a million times try to explain, no, we changed the Y to an I and then we add ES. No, just write it on there and hold it up. Wipe it off at the end of the class. You're ready to go. Help them be successful. Okay, so that one I sometimes will take a little bit longer, but the next one, or the last slide essentially, before the closing song for the little guys, is a free talk slide. This is a place that you could make up time or you can kill time if you need to. Like if you're up to 25 minutes already and you're just clicking on the free time slide, then you're going to want to say, circle the head. And they'll circle someone's head on the slide and you say, good job, and you go to the next one. You've done something on that slide, but you can move on. If you have 3 minutes to kill and there's 3 people there, the kids can count the people. You can ask about the weather in the picture. You can make sentences about where they go. Ask them to name 2 of their friends, like if it's them and 2 friends. You can really extend on that slide. And if that makes you nervous, because it made me very nervous at the beginning to go off the script, and free talk, because really there's no tips on that besides use the vocabulary you've learned or something like that, in the lesson on this slide. So try and tie it in with whatever you've done. And then you could go before class or the night before and try and think of some questions that would relate the picture back to the other, if that makes you nervous. Go ahead and plan ahead. But once you start doing it, these will become very easy and very repetitive, and it's pretty easy to extend on those. So then if the lower levels, next we'll have a closing song that's equally as cheesy as the opening song, but for some reason they seem to know that one better, and they can usually sing that one a little better. So lots of times I'll just say, sing that with me, instead of doing the repeat every line or something, because usually I need the time to, I'm killing. I have not enough time, so I need to just kind of ring through that one and not take a full minute on that, because I usually spend more time on some of those middle ones. And then there'll be the goodbye, which I always thank the kids. If you have heard a parent close by, which if there's a parent close by, you will hear them. They'll be whispering answers, or sometimes yelling answers in, or they'll come wipe the little kid's brow or be fanning them. It's super cute. So you can, on that last one, I will then thank mom, dad, grandma, whoever you've seen for booking with you again, and then do the assumed I will see you next time. I like to write as I'm going words that the kids are struggling with. This was one of mine earlier today. Words that we had to pronounce several times or that we explain the meaning of. And then on that last slide, you can just quickly say, can you say these one more time? You know, proud warrior soldier. Have them say them one more time, just kind of as one last review. I don't know. Depends on your time, whatever. Okay, and that's it. There is a blank slide at the end of every lesson. Now, some people get to the end and have a couple minutes left. And so they'll play tic-tac-toe or they'll write the vocabulary words or things like that. Great. And whatever works for you. My glasses seem very crooked. You do you. Whatever works for you, do that. For me, I never click on that last slide. I end at goodbye because if I see that I'm running, or I'm going to end up with time left at the end, then on slide number 20, I'll stop and draw a tic-tac-toe board. Or we'll stop and spell our words or do something. I mix it into the middle because I think then parents don't see it as you got done early and then just played. You know what I mean? Whether it's true or not, you might have planned your whole lesson to have 2 or 3 minutes left so that you can do that. I think as a parent, if it was my kid, I'd be like, they got through all the work. Why did they need to take that long? Or how did they get through work early or whatever? So if I see I'm going to have extra time, I start stalling on each slide. But again, make it valuable stalling. Make it worth their time to come to your class so that they will come back to your class. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that didn't sound tacky, because I really don't. People do this, and people way better than me are doing this and have done it for a long, long time. So that may work for people, whatever. But for me, I don't ever go to that slide, except I have one little girl that at the end, I'm going to try and tilt these so I quit getting that ring there. At the end of every one, whoop, I draw half a heart, she draws half a heart. She started this. We draw the little person. It's the exact same thing we draw every week. So I go to the slide for her because she would be very disappointed if I didn't. But as a general rule, I do not go to that slide. Okay. Ask me any questions in there and I will try to answer them. I'm not a pro. I just love doing this, and hopefully this will be helpful to you to learn. Because basically, like I said, so that's one class. If you do this and you stay on schedule, like I said, you're done at 25 to 26. You have 4 minutes. You can run and wake your kids up for school. You can go to the bathroom. You can eat out of the snack bucket that I've got back there in my bookcase. Get a drink. Check Facebook. You can do a lot in 4 minutes to refresh yourself. Just stand up before your next class where you rinse and repeat and do the same steps again with a different lesson. What I love about this is that it is easy. I'm going way too long. I'm sorry. That this is easy to do and to no prep work, because it's the same. Once you know these concepts of how to do every slide, there's no prep work in it. But since the content's different, it keeps my attention because I get bored fairly easily, which is why I have 8 of the supplementaries and I have all these grade levels, because I want my classes to be different content, because I get bored when I teach the same class a couple times in a row. Today I taught 4 of my 5 were level 3. Not about putting me over the top, because I teach 5 in the morning, 6:30 to 9. 5 classes between 6:30 and 9. But I 3 level 3s in a row. I was like, I'm starting to get bored, and then I know I'm not going to do as good of a job. I like when I have a 2, a 5, a 3, a grammar. Mix it all up in there, because then still no prep work, but it keeps my attention. So anyway, now I'm just flat rambling. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching. If you leave some comments, if there's questions you have, I'd be happy to answer, make another video, do anything. I'm going to try and start making more videos of things that I think are helpful. I don't want to waste your time with videos, so trying to be helpful. Okay, y'all have a good day. Talk to you later.